Hi, this is Ryan Lesser, art director at Harmonix and lead artist on Guitar Hero.
Hey, I'm Matt Moore. I did venue lighting and venue construction for Guitar Hero.
Hi, and I'm Rob Kay. I'm lead designer on Guitar Hero.
This is the making of movie for the Guitar Hero venues. So here's some concept art for the basement venue, the first venue that you play in the game.
There's the mom telling everyone to be quiet.
These are all drawings by Scott Sinclair.
It's supposed to be a basement at a party, lots of blue and red cups around.
So here you can see in 3D Studio Max, we're just opening up the venue so people could see the model and the texture maps and the geometry that we've built. This venue was really trying to be filled with all the kinds of junk that you see in a typical basement: cinder blocks, milk crates, crappy old rugs. Any of you that have been in a band, you know that you tend to fill these little practice spaces with rugs and mattresses and stuff to soak up the sound so that your neighbors don't go crazy on you.
It was basically my apartment 2 years ago.
There's a bunch of interactive elements in all of our venues to show you how well you're doing.
The basement was sort of a challenge because we want to have good feedback for how the player's doing in every venue.
In this venue, we have the furnace and the washing machine, both of which start going hippity hop when you're doing really awesome. And
when you get in a great state, the windows behind the band show police arriving.
Right.
Police lights.
So this is concept art that Scott Sinclair did for the Small Club, which was really inspired by a bunch of the kind of New York classic rock clubs.
So this is the second venue in the progression. So you've actually got your first kind of real gig and starting to work your way up the ladder.
This room has a really funky shape, which makes a lot of the camera work really cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's any 90-degree angles in this entire venue. Maybe the game.
Which is
sort of Guitar Hero.
Sort of a rule in Guitar Hero, no 90-degree angles. The feel of these venues was really meant to give you the sense that you were there. We've made games in the past where we purposefully wanted to make the game feel like you were watching a televised event of a specific musical show, whereas here we wanted to really feel like you were at a club at 2 a.m. watching some awesome band.
I think this venue was one of the first that we really nailed, and stylistically, I know that I thought that this was the one that really brought together the kind of kooky angles and cartoony style that Ryan was so keen to get.
I love the bar in this room. Scott and I worked on that for a little while, just getting a really wacky shape and cool little stools and the inset liquor cabinets with like the sort of absinthe style glowing liquor. So these are drawings that Mr. Matt Moore did. These are for the Red Octane level, which is the medium club. Kind of as you're getting bigger and bigger, this was also inspired by a lot of Boston mid-sized clubs.
So by this stage in the Guitar Hero career, you're going pro, you're kind of halfway through and starting to rise and get noticed.
Red Octane as a name is really good as a club name because it gave us a lot of visual imagery that we were able to incorporate into the club. We went with lots of pistons and engine parts and gears and cogs, and it just made for a really cool environment. Again, we're showing the edges of a lot of these polygons so you could see exactly how they're sculpted. A lot of these have textures that are anywhere between 32 pixels by 32 pixels up to, could be 128 by 256. It's funny to see how crummy the fan looks in 3D Studio Max, but once it goes through the engine and Matt does his magic on it, it looks pretty awesome.
As you saw with the fan, it's animated, and a lot of the animated components we tried to link in with your game performance, so the better you do, the more excited the venue becomes. So this is the kind of place that is like taken over by the rockers, but is often full of Euro trash.
Yeah, they kick the rockers out at 10:30 so that the dance party can start. This is the theater. This is sort of a revamped old theater turned into a modern rock club. There's a bunch of these up in the Northeast for sure.
This could be my favourite venue, actually. I think the lighting in here is awesome. The whole thing kind of comes together as a rock show in a
Yeah, for a long time this was absolutely the worst venue we had, and then all the guys on the venue team just totally brought it up, and now it's probably one of the best.
Yeah, I think this was the last that everybody really worked on, and we sort of hit our stride.
There's a good example of a venue where we were able to like let loose with our style. There's a lot of totally unrealistic stuff in here. The skull balconies and the purple smoke that's very kind of old, cartoony looking. The big gigantic wall of speakers in the background. This venue was the first time that we experimented with less traditional special effects like the cartoony smoke. This one we started off doing regular particle systems, but eventually transitioned into something I wanted to try, which was more geometric, exaggerated shapes. So this is the Toxic Fest, which is sort of an outdoor giant show with skaters and those giant buses that have big video screens in them. And
this is one venue that's gone through a bunch of changes. It was originally supposed to be daytime, and it's sort of become sunset now.
Just our only outdoor venue.
Yeah. We tried to stay away from outdoor venues, mostly because most of our design was centered around the kind of cool lighting you can do at a rock show. And if it was a outdoor show that happened to be during the day, we would lose a lot of those tools that we had at our disposal. There's the skate half pipe, where in-game there's a really funny model and a really funny animation. It's like a single model with a single animation of this guy doing just tons and tons of 360s and stuff.
Tony Hawk, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those pine trees are, of course, not white and purple in the game.
They're not even in the game.
Oh, really? Have they been cut?
They're 2D now.
Oh. So this is the arena, or the stadium, the last venue you go to. This venue is split up in a way where there's sort of good on the right side and evil on the left side as the pinnacle of the game, the great fight between good and evil. And you can see that other than just having the dragons and the god of good on the right, there's the separation of color in the venue. The whole left side is red and black, and the whole right side is white and blue. And that sort of gave a good setup for the entire environment. Different cameras in the game, depending on what you're doing and how you're playing, will give you a drastically different viewpoint on this world. It'll either be lots of blue or lots of red.
This venue is a good example of putting the detail where it's needed too. If you look at the back of the venue, it's a lot more sparse, but there's lots of action and excitement up front where the cameras are going to be looking, where the Guitar Hero is.
There you can see really clearly all the crowd. We have those 2D planes out there that simulate crowd that once it gets in engine, it all gets turned into cool 3D guys dancing around and girls jumping. So that's the end of the making of Guitar Hero Venues movie. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope this was a little bit insightful to you, and hope you have fun playing the game.
Yep, thanks for playing.
Enjoy it and go and spend some money on some guitar unlocks or songs, and don't waste your money on these movies again. It's not worth it.